Hello, everyone. This is Marita, one who catches lightning, with the Path of Ish podcast, Walking with Our Shadow, where we share ancient indigenous teachings of remembrance, all so we can walk and learn how to walk a path of radical self-love. Welcome, everyone, in this opportunity to gather all of ourselves, to take the time to be together as we sit and invite ourselves to sit in relationship to ourselves, to others, to circle, to this planet, to all the beings. And today, we're going to have an amazing opportunity to sit with an old dear friend of mine. Someone who I've known through lifetimes, and I call brother. Today we're welcoming into the circle the amazing, beautiful, vivacious curandera, heart ambassador, love ambassador, and keeper of cacao, keeper of sugar cane, keeper of corn, and keeper of the stars. We welcome Jacky. Bueno, please, welcome.
Well, hello, Marita. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Wow. I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you for having me and inviting me. Brother, it's an honor to be here with you, to share space and to be with your audience.
Yes, it is. And I'd love to just dive into the circle that we have created. And I'd love for you, Jacky, to share your creation story in your words, in your way.
You know, Marita, I've listened to your podcast. I love your podcast. And I knew this question was coming. And I decided that I would trust Spirit to put on my heart the words and the creation story that wants to be shared today, because I have many creation stories. And so that question makes my mind and my body and my essence want to give different answers. So for today, my creation story, or one of my creation stories, I am a very proud child of immigrant parents. My father is from Colombia, and my mother is from Quisqueya, better known to most people as Dominican Republic. They met, married, and gave birth to me in New York City. We very soon after moved to Texas, to Houston, where I spent the majority of my life, where I met and married my husband, who is also an immigrant of Mexico. We had our two amazing children. And about 10 years ago, we left Houston and we moved to the Permian Basin, West Texas, and have been here since. It's been 10 years since I've been living in the Midland, Odessa area, where I've been practicing, as you introduced me, as a curandera, a Reiki master teacher, energy intuitive, an energy worker, a cacao ceremonial facilitator, love ambassador, and all things spiritual. I could go down the list of all the things that everybody calls themselves in this world, from light worker to starseed and everything in between. But all things spiritual is what I've been practicing here in Midland, Odessa for the last 10 years. That's a little bit of my creation story and spiritual medicine that I offer.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. You know, one of the things that I kind of want to expand, right? And I don't think it's a conversation that many people have, right? We have the conversation about immigrant, what it is to be an immigrant. I'm an immigrant, you're first generation. And I want to talk about the medicine of someone who is a first generation person here to the United States, or someone who isn't an immigrant. So many times we hear that word in a dirty way, right? And all those people who are immigrating to Mexico right now from the United States call themselves expats. They don't want to embrace the medicine of what it is to migrate, to immigrate. And so I want to jump into that, the medicine that you hold as a proud child of immigrants. What does that mean? What is that medicine, that cultural medicine for you, Jacky?
Oh, that medicine is definitely one for me to be proud of. The resiliency, the acceptance of other people's ways of being, the ability to listen, not to answer. This fortitude that you are held and that you can walk that bridge from where you are to where you're going, sometimes with just a little sack with a bottle of water. It's very potent medicine. And maybe for another discussion, I don't know, unless it needs to go there, but anything in excess goes from being medicinal to not as medicinal. As potent as that medicine is, my journey has allowed me to find balance within that strength, that resiliency, that seeming submissiveness and ability to hear and to allow other people to exist. I had to find balance for that in my journey. So I'm extremely grateful and thankful for that medicine. But I had too much of that medicine in me, and I had to bring it to balance. So
Beautiful. Yeah, let's dive into, I love that image of someone who can journey and leave things behind, and the medicine that teaches us, and you live in a state whose mantra is bigger, more is better. So how can this medicine, right, of getting very clear, because I think, it's not even a conversation of lack here. It's a conversation of clarity. How can that conversation of clarity help us in these times where we are still living a very consumer-based society of access as distraction and destruction?
That's a great question. Respect. What comes to my mind and what comes to my heart is to respect. The mantra of Texas, bigger, better, but can you respect it? Because the consumerism and the appropriation, just taking things and more and more and more, it actually, as an energy intuitive, I have a very good understanding about energy, and the energy that you feed is really the energy that you are creating. And so where it may stem from, I want to make sure that I have enough. At some point that goes into, I have more than I need, and who, what, and where can that be better balanced and allocated, and who needs it, and how can or what needs it. So it's about getting clear that there is enough and that you don't have to just consume to be consuming out of this energy of I'm going to be left without or someone's going to take it. So it's really getting clear with yourself. Why are you consuming? Why are you always wanting more time, more space, more of a platform, more of fill in the blank? It's not just food and water and resources, but also energy. Why do you need that much of a platform? Why do you need this? Why do you need that? And really getting clear with yourself on that. And that clarity might lead you to realize that your bigger is better is actually scarcity and fear and lack.
Yeah, but we can't package that and sell that, right?
No, trying hard, but no.
So as we're having this discussion, there's a memory that I have of an image that you shared recently, right? You and I were having a discussion, about relationship. I think it was after one of my classes, since you are a student of mine, and you went to speak to a tree by an ATM bank. And you said to me, you're like, you had to, text me and say, Marita, oh my God, I'm seeing exactly what you said. So let's dive into that. This idea of relationship versus that is non-transactional or in a different transaction that really ties into consumption. So could you share that story with us and kind of your revelation? I think it's perfect for this moment.
I will share what I remember of that story. The memory that's coming to mind is my thought that, oh my gosh, who is watching this person over here doing offerings at this bank to this tree that connected with me? It was right next to the ATM line, and I go to this bank often. It's where I bank. And I knew that this tree had been looked over, had not been seen, had not been acknowledged, had not been witnessed. Watching all of the cars and all of the people coming to the bank next to the ATM line, just sticking their debit cards in, getting what they want, don't even have to say thank you because it's a machine and you didn't have any interaction with anyone. You took your money and you went your way, and that was it. And I just was like, there's got to be another way. There is a deep need for healing in our society. I did my transaction. I went back a couple of days later and made some offerings and sang some songs and allowed that being, that tree, to be seen, to be witnessed, to be heard, to be honored, instead of just being the place that everybody parks to do their transaction because they don't want to be in the sun. Here we go again. You don't want to be in the sun, so you used the tree for shade. That was the only thing that it was offering that I saw, at least. And I definitely, there might be somebody who felt what I felt, and I hope that that's the case. But what I felt was that everybody was just driving by, not noticing, not realizing that this tree offers so much. And I just wanted to be a good steward and swing back by and see my ancestor and give them an offering.
I love that story. And, as people know you to be this galactic light worker, right? How have you found the medicine of connecting the stars to this Earth planet accessible to you? And why is it important to be able to make that connection?
I found that the medicine for me, and if I was being very honest, I feel that it's the medicine for most was through cacao, specifically the cacao that called to me, which was Cuatro Manos y Cinco Volcanes. It helped me bridge the stars and the earth within myself and allowed me to exist on this physical plane instead of only connecting to the stars. So it was very important for me to do that because I wanted to honor this human experience, but everything in the human experience was getting harder and harder and harder. And through social media and through just all these platforms of over communication and over information, there's so much opportunity to escape or only focus on what affects you instead of understanding that what affects you affects me and what affects me affects you. And so I knew that there was a missing link. And as much as I love, flying high, I have a deep reverence now, love and respect for this blue, magical gem of a planet. I don't see it as the redheaded stepchild. It's one in the whole, same thing. It's one with all. And so cacao for me was a way for me to be here now in my body, in this experience, and allow me an opportunity to really be honest with myself and see where I had energy leaks and where I was spiritually bypassing. As I connected to myself, I connected to others more. Cacao was the medicine for me to bring the stars and the heavens together. And the image that I'm getting right now, Marina, is the fact that the cacao from Cuatro Manos y Cinco Volcanes is grown on Mauna Kea, and that she too holds the energy of the stars and the earth and this middle plane. And so using and building, not just using, but building a relationship with that cacao helped me to build that relationship within myself. And now I extend that to my clients and to my students and to my family and to every part of my life. So I just want to say thank you, cacao.
Beautiful. That's a lovely story. And I know you have a deeper story with cacao, a generational story with cacao. Would you be willing to share some of that?
That is a long story, but I will share some. Yes, I did not know. It wasn't until I actually started working with cacao and not being able to show up for family events and things because I was in cacao class and, I kind of became that person for a good while, like, people that are into astrology where everything that comes out of their mouth is like, are you a Leo? Are you a Scorpio? And it got back to my dad's ears that I actually went to Hawaii to visit Cuatro Manos y Cinco Volcanes farms and to go visit my profe, to go visit you. And that's when my father, realized that I was like real about what I was doing. Like, wait a minute, I think we need to have a conversation about some things, Jacky. And so we did. And he told me a little bit about his creation story and by default, a little bit of my creation story. And that we come from a long, long line of cacauteros and cafeteros de Colombia, en la área del Huila, al lado del río Magdalena. Our family name was a cacao name. And anybody that is familiar with la guerrilla y las cosas que pasan en Colombia, bueno, en toda Latinoamérica, en todo lado, en realidad, and everywhere. Sorry, now I'm talking Spanish.
Está bien, está bien.
You know, when they had to leave everything behind and protect their lives, and they lost, I'm getting emotional. They lost that land and they lost that connection. And when I stepped into cacao, it was a reclamation, and it still is. And it's so much more than just plant medicine. It's so much more than just sacred plant medicine. It's so much more than just something that you do when you go to Tulum and you go to these places. It's my ancestor. It's my family. And
Yeah.
and that was a really deep revelation to receive from my father, and I know it brought him healing. And I pray, and I know that it's brought a lot of healing to my grandfather, which is where I really received consciously a lot of my curanderismo connections. And so, yeah, cacao runs deep, really, really deep in my family. And I'm honored to be a keeper and a protector of cacao.
You know, that story is so powerful. And I'm kind of putting, you tell another story of cacao too, that before you came to study at Cuatro Manos, how you were doing cacao ceremonies, and cacao said to you, not this way.
Yeah.
Not like,
yeah.
And as you're telling this story, it almost seems to me, as I'm sitting here observing, right, that part of that was because it was missing this part of you.
Yes.
And so the story of your ancestors had to be revealed in a certain way through this journey that we take on in the trainings that we do over here at the Path of Ancient Cuatro Manos. So, wow, what an opportunity that cacao has given you of that rebirth and reclamation, that revelation of relationship.
Yes.
I do want to talk a little bit about what it was like before this reclamation or revelation of relationship. What was it like to be out in the community doing cacao ceremonies before you did your training? What's the difference?
There are many, many differences for me as the practitioner, as the facilitator, and as the one who holds and brings the relationship. It's very different. I don't even know where to begin. I think almost like what I finished off when I was saying, it's so much more than just something that you do. It's so much more than just something that is in style. It's bringing all of yourself into that cup, allowing yourself to be reflected in that cup. It's an opportunity to say to yourself, even if it's in a personal ceremony or one that I lead, it's an opportunity for you to say to yourself, almost the same thing I'm about to say to you, Marita. Thank you for accepting me and allowing me to exist. For me, that is what cacao offers. Thank you for allowing me to exist just as I am. And if I am ready and the people in my circle are ready to see all of themselves, then it's an opportunity for you to even step deeper into that acceptance of allowing yourself to exist, to lean into the discomfort of self-discovery instead of just going to a ceremony simply for aesthetics and a feel-good moment, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love aesthetics. I like nice things. Like I like flowers and I like, the aesthetics of a ceremony. And I do believe that they play a part too. However, I have a better understanding as to what part they play. And it's not just for aesthetics. It's the relationships also. So the crystals, the roses, the feathers, the resin, the plant medicine, all of that is not just showmanship or just a show. And I have a personal relationship with all of the things that I use in that circle now. So it's an opportunity for you also to have a deep relationship with your parts. So everything in my circle has changed. I'm so much more relaxed because I'm so much more authentic. I don't try to copy, promote, or perform like any other amazing or not cacao facilitator. I understand that the medicine that cacao is sharing with me is helping me become the medicine. And only I can, and only you can, and only Perencejo and Pereceja can. So that choque of competition and conquering and trying to do things better than my neighbor because I need your business, that's going into living in the desert. Everything fights for the little bit of water that there is. I don't resonate there anymore. It's not, if I have a couple of cacao ceremonies, then that's who I needed to sit with. And if I have a lot, then that's who I needed to sit with. But it's not coming from this place of survival and scarcity anymore. It's coming from a place of groundedness, authenticity, and an invitation. And like all invitations, you can show up or you cannot. But I extend that invitation to every participant in my circle to show up, not for me, but for themselves, with the help, with the root, and with the grounding of cacao, leaving no parts of yourself behind. All starseeds are welcome in my circle.
Wow, so beautiful and so powerful to, hear you as you speak now and to really see you in your completeness in a way. Now, that wasn't always the case, my friend. And you've
No.
and you've had a long journey, and some of that journey involved evangelical churches. And I'd love to speak a little bit about that because you are a prayer warrior, and how were you able to, grow your hair back out and have real prayer in your life? That's a very indigenous thing. Our hair is our prayer. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about that journey if you are feeling good about that question.
It is funny that you should say that, Marita, that my hair or that our hair is our prayer, because prior to my mother's passing, I wore my hair relaxed. So I had chemically relaxed hair, long chemically relaxed hair. And as a biracial, Afro-Latina, Indigena, there's so much culture. That's a whole cultural conversation itself. And I had to keep my hair, because tenía pelo bueno. Oh my gosh. All the toxicity. Anyway, when my mother passed, I had my big chop moment. I chopped it all off and I went natural. And that was the last time that I attended church. And I started praying my own prayers and weaving some of my own knowingness into what I was told and I accepted as truth. So I started weaving some of my own knowingness into it. I never condemned it. I never spoke ill of it. I am a huge prayer warrior, which is sometimes it's off-putting to certain spiritual communities because as much as we like to pretend that there's not different sectors within the spiritual community. There most certainly is. It can be very off-putting when I really say that because of whatever definition they think prayer is. But I'm a huge prayer warrior, and that was something I was not willing, like in any negotiation, and like a true negotiation, like that was one that I was not willing to put down. I'm amazing at it. I love prayer, and I wasn't willing to give it up, but that was the last time I went to church. And I found other spiritual communities. Some of them were good fits. Some of them were definitely not good fits. And I just kind of, like my mom and my dad, I got my mochila, I put my little water, and I started walking. I said, ¿sabes qué? This church wasn't for me anymore, and I got to find a new place. And I didn't know if I was going to look for a building, if I was going to look for a temple, a church, a mosque. I didn't know what I was going to go to, but I knew it was time for me to start to journey. So I got my little mochilita. I put my little Bible. I put my little water because that's what I had at the time. And man, if you look at my tool belt and my medicine bag now, I have so much more medicine in there now that I am honored to weave together with parts of my beingness that serve me, that I'm proud of, and that I just no longer resonated in the way that they were supporting me anymore. And it allows me it really helps me, Marita, being in West Texas or just being in Texas and around a lot of Christian community really helps me because I understand the fear of dying to something that you gave yourself to as a sacrifice and it's keeping you alive. So I understand it a lot more than perhaps others, but I want to just share with your audience, if they're in that space, you don't have to abandon yourself to evolve yourself. But there is a moment where you must make a conscious decision to get your mochila, that's a backpack, to get your backpack and go on your own journey and hike of self-discovery. You might end up back at that church, and that's fine. That's fine. But there comes a time that is time for you to journey and see if there's something else. And for me, that meant I had to die to certain parts of my beingness.
And that's a perfect segue to the next conversation that I want to have. And you and I started having it via text the other day about how Western society, right, we're in the shift of creation and death, right, all the time. Every society is. Yet it seems that this society, which teaches manifest destiny, which teaches appropriation, which teaches, colonization, does not know how to die. All it knows is how to live and to conquer. And so I'm seeing this in the collective that, if you look at, the societies you and I come from, there is more a relationship with death. And so I want to talk about, this new title that I was telling you should have, right? And feel into. And title not as just as something that you live your beingness. And that is of a death doula. And I want to talk a little bit about just how you said, we do have to die to something. And how can we, and how can you, and what are you doing out there in the amazing offerings that you have as a curandera to help people through this process?
It takes a lot of energy to die. It takes a lot of energy to be birthed. So one of the ways that I help is through my energy work. I've been fortunate to sit with several hospice patients bedside as they take their last breath. I've been very fortunate to be at childbirth, doing shamanic drumming and breathing, and the amount of energy it takes to birth or to die, one and the same, is a lot. So I try to do the best I can by doing energy work to help with the fear of the unknown. Marina, I don't think I've even told you, but there is an analogy I want to share with you that's really personal, and I'll tell you later on where it comes from. But I had this image of a little old lady with a walker, very frail, trying to get to the living room to sit in the recliner. And when they get to the recliner, they have to let go of the walker to shift and transition onto, they have to let go of the walker, to shift and transition into the recliner. And I have been really blessed to witness this person do this for the last 4 weeks. The amount of fear that it produces somatically for this person to let go of the walker and to get into the recliner where actually it's going to be safer, they can relax, it's actually a better spot for them, is so overwhelming. And that's what I feel the Western culture is missing. It's knowing that if you let go, you don't know, and can you work with that fear around it? I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen when you let go of it, but I promise you that it's not as scary as what you think and perhaps feel it to be. So whether you need a breathwork clinician, a somatic practitioner, I try to, and that death doula word that you use, it was a word that I was feeling into too, because I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about energy. And I was like, well, that's interesting because that's pretty much what I do. I'm like an energy doula. I try to connect with the energy that you are trying to either birth or die, because nothing stays the same. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I love when we all say stagnant energy. Like there's like a little voice in my head that giggles. I'm like, stagnant energy? What is that? Stagnant energy? The tree's either living and growing or it's dying, but it's not standing still, frozen in time. So that might be a question to ask. Are you living? Are you dying? Are you, delusionally thinking that you're stagnant? You're doing one of the two things, always.
Wow, that's so powerful. I love that image. And it's almost like we're using the word stagnation because it's unknown.
Mm-hmm.
We try to qualify it. Whew, I love this. I'm loving this conversation. I want to jump into something that you are creating as part of all of your offerings, right? And your relationship with cacao. And I want to talk about really how you've stepped into your role as a curandera. And I want to talk about the recetas and what people, why people should come to you, how you're working in an old but new way, and all of the energy that you're putting into las velas and the bath salts and all of that. I'd love to have a conversation of that and let people know how to follow you and book with you too.
Oh, curanderismo. I just love, Marina, and I know we didn't talk about this on this episode, but I just love that you have allowed me to be who I am. Like I'm able to bring my prayer life. I'm able to bring my Reiki master that's so triggering for so many people, Reiki master teacher. I'm able to bring cacao and curanderismo and begin to weave all of that. And what I feel is that the more weaving that you do, the more authentic that you are, the more magic, the more medicina is in the things that you create, whether they are physical things or energetic. So I have been creating with you Hola and Aloha cacao products, beauty products, bath salts, and more things to come. And recently we launched the magic candles through Path of Ish. They're beautiful. I try my best, Marita, to meet people where they are at. I really do. I really want to honor people where they are at. And sometimes that just means that you are curious about cacao or bath salts and you come into my space and you purchase bath salts or you purchase a candle or you just purchase cacao. I try to meet you where you are because I understand also that there is a level of trust, belief, faith, whatever word from whatever tradition you come from, you want to put in that space, but you got to believe it. You got to believe it. And I can believe it all I want, but if I give it to you and you don't believe it, then the magic just kind of had an energy leak. So what I really love to do is to have someone come in to do a consultation with me where I do como una plática espiritual. So it's something my grandfather and a lot of my ancestors would do is what's going on in your life? What are you working on? What's alive within you right now? And then tapping into Great Spirit and seeing how to best support that need for you, whether that is a practice, whether that is a limpia or a healing, whether that is just passing Reiki or doing some sound healing, some movement. And I truly believe that consistency is key. You can come, and I used to say this, there was a time where I was a personal trainer and I would tell people, I'm like, you can't come to the gym on Friday and, go to fun day Sunday on Sunday and think that you're going to have that physique that you want. Es la misma cosa. It's the same thing. You can't go to church on Sunday or you can't go to a cacao ceremony on Tuesday and that's it. What are you doing at home? How are you signaling to the universe, to great creator, to God, to your guides, to those benevolent energies that you're working with, that you're serious, that this is not just something that you come to for an hour, but that you're actually working. And that is when I give a receta. A receta is like a prescription. Matter of fact, in a little bit, I have to take my son to the doctor and they're probably going to give me a prescription. And I won't bat an eye because he's a doctor. He's a Western doctor. He went to school and he read the book and now he's going to tell me what medicine I need to get. Okay, la misma cosa, muy parecido, very similarly as someone who is very connected to the unseen world and feels very comfortable. And that is my world. And the closer I am in that area of your darkness, the more I'm able to see your light and I can prescribe something, whether that is 3 days of a bath salt with lavender or eucalyptus, like you don't have any boundaries, or let's work with Abre Camino candles. Today I sold 4 candles and I took the time. You're not going to just buy a candle. If you're not coming, you're not going to just buy a candle. I took the time to explain how to work with it. You don't blow the candle out because these candles I have sat with, they've been in ceremony with me. I've prayed into them. I have set love, so much love into them. You don't blow them out. The fire, these particular ones are to be covered or snuffed so that the fire is safe to continue burning. You're not bringing air in and blowing that candle out. So I love to give prescriptions, whether, like I said, candles, bath salts, cacao, and it's all contingent on you. So a lot of times people will be like, well, can you just do like a whole class? Can you just do like a group? Pues no, I can't. I mean, I can, but if we all go to the doctor, we're not all going to have the same ailment. So in addition to just coming to a ceremony, I love to see one-on-ones because I think that there's things that you can do in community and there's things that you can do individually and vice versa. You need both. You really do. You need to be in community and you also need to do work on your own and behind the scenes so that you're not, I want to empower people. So as much as people love to come and they're like, oh, I wish I could come see you every day. I'm like, oh, I love it. But not really necessary. Um, I want to empower you so that you can do and feel the way that you do when you're with me, when you're with yourself, because Jacky ain't planning to stay here forever. So yeah, get some tools and get your mochila, your backpack, and get your tools and do your thing.
Jacky, I'm loving it. So how can people connect? I know that you do consults in your home, in your office. Can people connect with you online as well? And how can they reach out? Let's give them the deets so that they can book in. And also, again, we're going to, Jacky and I have spoken, put this also on the Cuatro Manos site so that you can connect with Jacky and have a consult. But what are your other ways that people can connect with you, Jacky?
Yes, absolutely. Cuatro Manos, Cinco Volcanes website, any of the products that we just spoke about, including my contact information, you can find there. My social media platform of preference is Instagram, and that's at Jacky's Loving Touch. On Instagram, I'm very on top of that account. So if you DM me there, you'll get a response back within the next 48 hours. I do offer in-person and remote energy work for animals, land, buildings, homes, one-on-one work. So if you just need to come in for a Reiki session for stress and anxiety relief, that is totally fine. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, I do one-on-ones, like on a 3-month commitment or container. I offer Reiki classes and attunements, spiritual mentorship. Usually those are folks that are already on a spiritual path or have a practice of their own. And like I said, the consult's definitely more curanderismo work. So all of your more traditional curanderismo work like limpias y rituales y recetas. And of course, my beloved cacao ceremonies in person and remote. Those are the offerings that I have right now. And of course, I'm very plugged in with you, Marita, with Through the Path of Ish and also with Cuatro Manos Cinco Volcanes. So yeah, not too hard to get a hold of me. I'm kind of old school as of right now. Don't have website, don't have that, but maybe in the future I will. I kind of grew up from that line of people where, so and so knows so and they tell so and so that grandpa last house on the left in the yellow house es un sobadero, and that's, so that's kind of how I like it to go. But, I'm always open to evolving, growing, and shifting. So we'll see if maybe in the future there are some more ways to get a hold of me.
Beautiful, Jacky. I've enjoyed this conversation so much. I hope that we can have another one. I'd love to kind of dig in a little bit more and share with people curanderismo. For those of us who know it and grew up in it, it's definitely a way of life. And for other people looking from the outside, there's a lot of opinions of what it is. So I'd love to invite you again and we can have that conversation. But for now, I really want to honor you, honor your people, the people and the lineages that you represent, your unbroken lineage as a curandero, and as a cacao keeper, as a coffee keeper of the land. And thank you so much for spending all of this time with us. And please reach out to Jacky. Jacky's definitely someone that I have on speed dial as well. And I don't have many on speed dial to have conversations, to be able to meet and pray together for this land, these people, this shift that we are in. And hopefully we can do so in a good way. Thank you, Jacky.
Thank you, Marita. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for everybody taking the time to listen to me today. I hope that you all have a beautiful, beautiful journey. in this human experience.
And with that, we will close the circle, thanking all the relations who have been here, all the directions and all the elements and all our ancestors. Shade. Once again, it is with deepest gratitude that I bow to you for joining me on this podcast, this episode, this circle, this plática, this meditation, this remembering. I hope that you have stayed curious. I hope to see you in the circle again next week. So make sure that you like or follow. Until then, may you be blessed with abundance of peace and radical self-love.